The story of Parker Schnabel's rise to prosperity is very interesting. It all started with his grandfather, John Schnabel, who went to the Klondike in the early 1900s to look for gold. John became a rich miner despite going through a lot of hard times. Parker's grandfather inspired him to start mining when he was only 5 years old. He was already running his own claim and being known as a mining genius by the time he was 16. But how much money has Parker made? You might be surprised by the response. The Schnabel tale and the Klondike both began in the early 1900s. Young John Schnabel packed his bags and went north in search of gold. One thing is for sure, it wasn't easy. Those first few years were hard, with a lot of problems and setbacks. But John was made in a different way. He kept going, learned the ropes the hard way, and finally succeeded. He became one of the most skilled miners in Klondike after years of mining. John Schnabel worked hard and was determined to become rich. By the time he was older, he had a pile of gold worth millions of dollars. There was yet more to the Schnabel story. Parker, John's grandson, comes in. Parker looked up to his grandpa as a kid and learned everything he could about gold mining. You could see Parker was good at mining even when he was a kid. And let's just say he was quite driven to make the family business work. This love of gold started when he was quite young, far younger than you may think. The tale of Parker Schnabel in the gold game goes back to when he was 5 years old. Little Parker's grandpa, John, who was a mining legend in his own right, allowed him go with the crews to the mines outside Haines, Alaska. A lot of kids that age are like cartoons and Legos, but Parker was really into it. The machines making noise, the dirt flying, and the best part was watching genuine gold come out of the earth. He didn't care about video games, it was like a treasure hunt in real life. As Parker got older, he loved gold digging even more. He was already running little excavators and looking for gold under his grandpa's watchful supervision by the time he was 10. Parker had a sixth feeling for discovering gold that was even superior than that of some experienced miners. John planned to give Parker a real challenge when he turned 16. He rented out part of his own claim to Parker, which meant that Parker was in charge of everything, from the bills to the earnings to everything else. People were like, "Whoa, a 16-year-old running a mine? That's crazy." But Parker wasn't afraid. He hired a group of local miners, worked hard, and utilized his wizardry to find gold to take out a lot of it. People heard about this young mining genius very quickly, and before long, Parker Schnabel was being considered a prodigy who would become as famous as his grandfather. Parker was already the boss of gold mining in the Yukon by 2012. He was making a lot of money and leaving experienced prospectors in the dust with his smarts and new mining methods. Some reality TV producers saw this young prodigy and wanted to launch a program on, you guessed it, gold mining. They gave Parker a crazy idea. For a new show on the Discovery Channel called Gold Rush, let a camera crew follow him around. Parker, who was always a businessman and maybe a little bit of a showman, viewed this as a great chance to extend his wings and share his family's story with the world. Parker nodded yes after a short talk with Grandpa John. That's how Gold Rush started. Parker became a star right away in the first episode. People loved how energetic and smart he was, and how hard he worked. Gold Rush became very popular, and Parker Schnabel became one of the most famous young guns in the gold mining business. But the celebrity didn't stop him at all. He put much more effort into his Porcupine Creek business, bringing in bigger, stronger machinery and a whole new team. Parker got inventive, using his brain to come up with great mining plans, and kept breaking his own gold records every season. By the time he was in his early 20s, he was pulling in more than 3,000 ounces of gold in a single season. That's a lot of money. Parker used his TV stardom and his mining skills to build an empire. He raised the bar for how much money people could make and how much gold they could find. Parker went from being a promising rookie to an exceptional force thanks to Gold Rush and his own indisputable brilliance. He changed the way the whole gold mining game is played. The Schnabel family had a hard time in 2016, though. Grandpa John, a famous person in these gold fields, has died. He was 96 years old and had a life that most people could only dream about. But for Parker, it wasn't simply losing a hero, it was losing the person who believed in him the most.
Grandpa John had been with Parker since he was a child, teaching him everything he knew. How to read the land, lead a crew, and find that hard-to-find gold. He had made Parker strong enough to deal with the craziness of mining life. Parker was standing alone for the first time since Grandpa died. It was hard, but Parker had that fire in his belly that wouldn't let him give up. He promised Grandpa John that he would keep the family tradition going and make him proud. After burying Grandpa, Parker took over Schnabel mine. He made some big plans, like bigger digs and more gold than ever before. He even got a lot of additional claims across the Yukon, including the famous Eureka Creek, which is said to be the wealthiest land that hasn't been touched yet. Parker wasn't simply controlling one mine anymore, he was a mining tycoon. There are a lot of claims all around the Yukon. It was a whole new game. He had to learn how to plan well and keep all these moving elements functioning smoothly. Crews were working around the clock, rentals were stacking up, and payroll was going through the roof. There was a lot of pressure. Parker had to be innovative to get the most gold out of these claims. He looked at everything and figured out how to work smarter instead of harder. But it wasn't all good times. There were missteps, lousy hires, and the improper equipment that almost wrecked the whole thing. Competitors were hovering, waiting for Parker to make a mistake. But Parker, the child who used to chase gold with Grandpa Jean, is determined. He learned from his failures, made his team stronger, and pushed himself more than ever. Grandpa John was always there for him, even when things were hard. And Parker's determination made the Schnabel legacy shine brighter than before. Parker gets it, look. The Yukon is a magnificent and wild region, and it should stay that way. Parker felt he had to be responsible, even though his mining business was going up in flames. He understood he had to mine carefully so that this region would stay beautiful for future generations. Because of this, Parker became a major supporter of eco-friendly mining. He spent a lot of money on clever gear to keep bad chemicals from spilling out and unique filters to keep dirty water from mucking up the rivers. After Parker's team mined a site, they would smooth it out by getting rid of trash and planting indigenous plants to bring everything back to life. And it really did work. Animals began to return to these reclaimed regions and love their new homes. And since Parker is a wonderful guy, he utilized his fame to call for better mining restrictions in the Yukon. He worked with the best leaders to develop laws that preserve the environment and let people mine safely. He even became a mentor, showing junior miners how to generate money without making a mess. Parker basically became a one-man crusade to show that you can be a successful miner and still care for the environment. His mind came up with innovative strategies to get the most gold with the least damage to the land he loved. Parker's idea means that the Yukon's untamed beauty and burgeoning mining sector may live together for a long time. Parker Schnabel was already a millionaire by the time he was in his mid-20s. Believe it or not, a significant part of that is because he was the star of Gold Rush. You know that show where cameras follow him around the Yukon while he looks for gold? It seems that he was making a cool $100,000 for each show. That's around $2 million a year. But wait. That's simply the first piece of treasure in Parker's chest. When it comes to mining claims, Parker's family owns around half of the Yukon. It's like they own a gold mine all to themselves. And they were doing great with Parker in charge. They got a huge 3,500 ounces of gold in one season. That's close to $5 million in today's money. Picture this, a bathtub full of gold. Every year, Parker's mines produced a lot of gold, which added millions more to his already big bank account. But hold on, there's more. Parker became a world-famous influencer after starring in Gold Rush. Companies like Insane Mining Equipment, clothing labels, and more wanted to pay him to promote their products. Parker was no longer only the ruler of the Yukon gold fields. He was a big deal on social media. Parker used that fame to put money into all kinds of things. He had the best trucks for transporting throughout the mines, rental equipment to grow his business, and even real estate. Put it all together. You have a net worth of about $10 million and it's going up thanks to TV money, mining revenues, sponsorships, and clever investments. For a person who started off playing in the dirt with his grandpa, that's not too awful, is it?
Parker, on the other hand, is quite low-key, unlike some showy millionaires you see online. He stays close to the action by living on site at his mining camps in practical housing. Most of the money he makes goes back into the firm, which makes it even more spectacular. But hey, even rich people have to pamper themselves sometimes. Parker has a nice apartment back home in Alaska. A 45-acre property with a wood cottage that appears like it came from a magazine. Imagine a home with beautiful views of the mountains, rustic charm, and comfortable furniture. The best spot to unwind after a long season. Forget about a boring garage, too. There are a lot of toys in Parker's room. We're talking about the best trucks, ATVs, and anything else he needs to explore those mines in style. But Parker isn't just a person who owns one estate. He has a collection of real estate. Parker is establishing his own tiny empire. He has a business building in Haines, Alaska, and a holiday rental property in the Yukon region. Let's talk about his automobile collection now that we're on the subject of empires. It's enough to make any car lover jealous. We have a Ford Raptor, the best off-road vehicle ever, and it's great for demolishing the Yukon soil. The Mercedes G-Wagon is next. Just complete luxury for those smooth journeys. Do you feel classic? Parker has a Jeep Wrangler, which is a real miner's ride, and his tricked-out Chevy Silverado is really cool. This guy really likes his cars. They're the right mix of high quality and adventure-ready. Also, they probably won't mind getting a lot of muck on them. Plus, he has a large fleet of trucks and heavy machinery that keeps his mining operation going smoothly. Parker likes to go on big vacations around the world or take his fancy fishing boat out when he finally has some free time. There are so many things that could happen. But this is the best part. Parker isn't only thinking about himself. He looks after the folks that helped him get here. He sometimes gives his devoted team lavish vacations. He gives them big bonuses for working hard. And one thing is for sure, Parker is generous with more than just his team. He hasn't forgotten that he was born in Alaska. He really wants to aid the communities that helped him get here. A big part of his gold revenues goes to local charities, animal shelters, youth sports, and other good causes every season. He even aids groups for veterans. The winters in Alaska are very harsh. It gets long, dark, and sometimes the electricity goes out. That can be hard for folks who can't buy expensive generators. Parker pulls up his sleeves and donates his time to build affordable housing and deliver supplies to families and elders that need a little extra help when he's not mining. But Parker is doing more than just keeping people warm and nourished. He's also putting money into Alaska's future. Parker even started a scholarship fund at his old high school. He wants to help other young people gain a head start in fields like mechanics or engineering, which are very useful in Alaska. In short, he's assisting other people and encouraging the next generation to follow their ambitions, just like he did. Parker is really excellent at locating gold, but it's not everything to him. This guy has a lot of other interests than mining. He wrote an entire series of novels about his family's history in mining, and they all became bestsellers. Parker also enjoys going on trips. He has been to places like hot rainforests in South America and old ruins in Europe. This guy enjoys going on adventures. When he's not flying across the world, you can find him back in Alaska fishing, hunting, or just trekking in the mountains. He loves being in nature. Also, the dude is really into history. He is quite interested in old mining tools and things like that. He gathers them up like people do with baseball cards. All of these pastimes help Parker relax and keep things in balance, even when the mining gets out of hand. Keeps him grounded and ready to crush it again. Parker is almost 30, yet his desire for gold is stronger than ever. This guy isn't happy with simply the Yukon. He wants to rule the world of mining. British Columbia is next. Parker's crew is looking for gem mines there, and the Northwest Territories are also on his mind. He wants to go to South America, Australia, Africa, and pretty much anywhere else where there are sparkling things underground. It's not just about getting more gold though. Parker and his team are coming up with insane new technology to dig smarter, not harder. Think about robots, lasers, and all the other sci-fi mining stuff.
All of this is to get the gold with little damage to the ecosystem. What a great deal!
Parker is living the dream right now, but he's already wondering about what's next.
You know the Schnabel legacy?
Amelia, his niece, seems very interested in mining, exactly like her uncle. Parker has been teaching her the ropes, and he wants this to be a family business for a long time. Parker might eventually take a break from work, think about the broader picture, and maybe even start some new experiences.
And you get more time to travel and spend all that hard-earned gold, right?
That sounds like a great idea for retirement.
So, what does Parker do next?
Parker Schnabel is going to be successful no matter what crazy thing he does next.
Do you remember that tiny kid who learned about mining from stories?
Now he is a famous person. Parker absorbed what he learned from the old-timers, made his own way, and did great.
And you know what? There may be more good things to come.
This big Yukon gold mining company isn't going to slow down anytime soon.
Get ready for Parker Schnabel's next chapter, it's going to be great.